All right, you had a long week of training and you are tired. So let's do a little bit of recovering. For this video, I'm going to be doing some exercises with a lacrosse ball as well as a foam roller. So grab those if you have them. If you don't have a lacrosse ball, any sort of hard bouncy ball will work just fine. So this lacrosse ball is great for massaging out tension in specific parts of the body, especially after a lot of cardio, a lot of walking, running, steps. This is fantastic for rolling out the bottoms of your feet. So we're going to go ahead and just do that. I like to set the lacrosse ball down and put as much pressure as is comfortable depending on your level of soreness on your foot, and you're just pressing into the lacrosse ball. I like to go around my heel into all of the tender and the tight spots, and then on the ball of my foot, around the outside of my foot, just everywhere. And depending on how sore you are, depending on how tired you are, I want you to pause the video and just massage the bottoms of your feet with your lacrosse ball until they feel better, a little bit less sore, and you feel more relaxed. You can also use a lacrosse ball for massaging different parts of the body, like the upper body. So what you can do is take the lacrosse ball and go against a wall or a pillar and lean into it to get a specific point of tension. If you have some rear shoulder pain, some front shoulder pain, or anything like that. You can also sit on the lacrosse ball if you have, you gotta be careful with this so that you don't put too much pressure by sitting fully on the lacrosse ball, but if you have like a really tight part of your hip or something like that, you can put some pressure on the lacrosse ball and just pinpoint one specific spot. But like I said, do be careful because you don't want to be sitting and having all of your weight on the lacrosse ball. Moving on to some foam rolling. We're going to start with the calves. Whenever you are foam rolling, if you want there to be more pressure, just do one side of your body at a time. If you want there to be less pressure, do both sides of your body at the same time. So for my calves, I'll either, again, depending on how sore I am, do just one calf and then put the other one on top to increase the pressure, or do both calves at the same time. But all you're going to do is foam roll the entire calf and kind of turning your leg this way and this way from one side to the other to get all the parts of the calf. And if you're not feeling a whole lot with both legs, you can switch to just one leg with one foot on the ground, or you can switch to both legs with one foot on top of the other. And when you find a spot, like for me, the back of my calf right here, it hurts, and you'll know when you reach a spot. Stay there and try to just foam roll out that tension. You don't want to increase the pain. It is going to hurt, but it should feel a little bit more relaxed after. And we don't want extreme pain. We just want sort of the type of pain that comes from massaging through something that's a little bit sore. So we're just going to go through the calves on either side, the sides of the calf, and then the inside of the calf, all the way from the knee to the ankle. And then when you are ready, we're going to move on to the hamstrings. So we're going to bring that foam roller to just the back of the knee and foam roll all the way to where your glute starts at the bottom, foam rolling here, rotating again from side to side, hitting some of the inner thigh, some of the outer thigh. And again, do this on both sides at the same time or just one side and then the other. And so we're just trying to find any spot that might have a lot of tension. And then when you do find a spot that has a lot of tension, stay there and roll that out for a moment or two to relieve some of that tension. And then when you're ready, we'll move on to the glutes. So I like to turn a little bit on the side for this and just again rolling from the bottom of your glute all the way to almost your low back. And you just want to find a spot, any spot or all the spots that feel extra tender, and try to roll those out a little bit. It might be a little bit painful, but we just want to relieve some of that tension. Moving on to the side of the glute as well. Just being careful not to stay in any one spot for too long and hitting both sides of the body. So I'm going to flip on over and hit the other glute as well. Just getting the back and the side of the glute. Alrighty, now moving on to the quads. For me, and I think for a lot of people, the quads are really sensitive. So just mentally prepare yourself. It shouldn't be extreme pain, but it's going to be a little bit uncomfortable. So for the quads, what you're going to do is lie down on the foam roller and just gently roll through all the points where you have tension. Just rolling from the hip to the knee and staying in any spots that have a lot of tension for an extended period of time. So go ahead and do that on both sides. If you need to pause the video, you can. And then moving on to the back, what you're going to do is roll from the low back to your upper back. So rolling out the low back, going to the upper back. You may feel your vertebrae pop a little bit, that's okay, or your back crack. Just rolling out the upper back. And feel free to add in any extra foam rolling for any spots that feel extra sensitive. This is just a general full body foam roll, and you can spend as much time as you want to foam rolling different parts of the body, depending on what you've been training and depending on how you feel. The last part of this video is going to be some stretches that you can do when you're trying to recover. This can be paired with any type of yoga movements and yoga flows. Those are all great for recovery. Here are just some stretches that can really help to relax the body and stretch out any soreness and tightness that can come from training. So I like to start in a seated position just like this with my toes tucked, and I lean back a little bit to stretch out the bottoms of my feet. This will feel especially relaxing if you've just done the lacrosse ball massage of the bottom of your feet, just stretching out those tendons on the bottom of the feet. And then untuck the toes, sit back down onto the heels. You can spread your knees apart a little bit if you want to, as well as your toes. And we're going to walk down into child's pose. Stretching the hands as far out in front as possible, trying to feel lengthening through the back and the upper back. Staying here for just a couple of seconds. And then from here, we're going to take one arm and thread it through underneath the other arm, trying to bring that shoulder and the ear to the ground. This is called threading the needle, and this is a great rotational stretch for stretching out the whole upper back. We're going to repeat that on the other side. From here, we'll come upwards just a little bit, and we're going to turn the arms backwards to stretch out the forearms, leaning back or rocking back and forth, if that helps to intensify the stretch in a way that's comfortable. And then from here, coming into tabletop position with the shoulders directly above the wrists and the hips above the knees. Here, I'm going to put one hand to my ear. I'm going to bring my elbow down to the mat, and then I'm going to open up my stretch, trying to have my chest facing the wall opposite me. And then come back down. We're going to do this 3 times, opening up the stretch. And one more time, opening up the stretch. And then we'll repeat on the other side, bringing elbow to ground, opening up the stretch, elbow to ground, opening up the stretch, and one more time. And then from here, I'm going to go into a runner's lunge. So I'm just going to bring one foot up to where my hands are. If you can't get your foot all the way up to your hands, that's okay. Just get it as close to your hands as you can. And then I'm just going to lean forward into this stretch, moving my hands a little bit forward as well, inching my foot forward to get a deeper stretch, almost like a split stretch. If you're not able to bring your foot all the way forward, just try to keep your heel on the ground. And then from here, I'm going to open the stretch, rotating my chest to the front of the room. We're going to do this 3 times. 2 and 3. If you can, to make this stretch a little bit more challenging, try to get your elbow to the ground, and you can come down onto your forearms if that's something that's comfortable for you. If not, that's totally fine. You can stay on your hands. Holding this for just a second, coming back up. We're going to come back to tabletop and switch, having the other foot come up to the hands. And then from here, I am going to open the stretch, sending my chest to the wall opposite. Same thing on this side. If you can, try to get that elbow to the ground, coming onto your forearms if that's something that is comfortable. And then coming up and out of this stretch, back into tabletop position. From here, I'm going to come to a seated position in a butterfly stretch, so bringing the bottoms of my feet together. I'm just going to gently rest my hands here, allowing the weight of my arms to push a little bit down on my knees, but not actively pushing down. I'm going to let my inner thighs and hips stretch a little bit, gently rocking from side to side. Then extending one foot out straight. I'm going to swoop my arms up, lengthening my spine, and then fold over onto that outstretched leg. Trying to reach my toes or my ankle if I can. If not, that's okay. Just stretch as far as you can. You should feel a stretch throughout that outstretched leg as well as a stretch in the side body. Holding that for about 10 seconds. And then we are going to switch sides. Stretch out that opposite leg. We are going to extend the arms up, lengthening the spine, and then fold over the outstretched leg. Again, just feeling that stretch throughout the side of my body and throughout the back of my leg. From here, I'm just going to take this folded leg and I am going to place my ankle on my knee. And then I'm going to bring this leg up. And so now I feel this stretch, the glute of the leg that is folded up. I'll just place my hands behind me for stabilization. And to make this stretch a little bit more intense, you can lean into your foot. We'll hold this for about 5 more seconds. And then we are just going to switch sides, bringing that other foot up onto the knee, and then bringing that knee into a bent position. It's totally normal if you feel this stretch more deeply in one leg than the other. If you typically sit with your right leg crossed over your left knee, then it's pretty common to feel more flexible on that side, which is totally normal. And if you're feeling the stretch a little bit more, it's good to hold it a little bit more on that side that feels a little bit tighter. So I'm just going to lean into this stretch. There we go. All right, so coming out of that stretch, I'm going to come back into tabletop position. From here, I'm going to tuck my toes and send my hips up to the ceiling for downward dog. Taking the opportunity to alternate pedaling my feet out to deepen the stretch throughout the back of my legs. And then I'm going to walk my feet a little bit closer to my hands if I can, in a forward bend, just letting my upper body hang heavy, alternating a little stretch from side to side to stretch my side body, and then just reaching to try to touch my toes or touch the floor if I can. If you can't do this and touch the floor, that's okay. Just stretch as far as you can, feeling that stretch all throughout the hamstrings and the calves. Holding just for a few more seconds, trying to keep those knees straight. All right. This is a great routine that you can go through whenever you're trying to recover from some hard training.